if I get just even below the surface just a little bit, like our relationship changes. And it's this like one click down from the normal surface level stuff you talk about. And that's when really like some of the greatest relationships that I have with other dads is come from, is just being real and not just talking about the normal surface level stuff. So just, it's weird, it's awkward, but it's really good to just go one level below. Like it's like, I just came back from Hawaii, and you stand like looking at the ocean, you don't see anything. And then you like literally put goggles on and go an inch down. You're like, all this is down here? Are you kidding me? What? So that's my constant reminder, is like, just go a little deeper, be a little more open, because it bonds people in a different way. That's when people know you're real.
My friend, welcome. Your role as a father is critical. You matter. You are so important. 3 nuggets that hit me from my conversation with my friend Nick Dadas today are: 1, being a father is fun. 2, fit work in, don't fit your kids in. And 3, create margin for your kiddos to do life with you. Welcome to Fatherhood Field Notes podcast, where I interview incredible dads gaining wisdom from their stories for you and I to grow in our own craft. I'm your guide, Ned Shout, father to 5 kiddos, currently ages 11 to 18, and husband to my rad wife, Sarah, working on our 20th year of marriage. So, yep, I am in the thick of it. And I am working daily to rebel against the low expectations for fathers and create a world where fathers know who they are and show up for their families. You and I have one of the most incredible opportunities to impact our world simply by embracing our fatherhood role. This episode is brought to you by the Adventure of Fatherhood, helping men discover their powerful fatherhood role and build their fatherhood skills. The role of the father is to serve, guide, provide, protect, and of course, find joy and have fun in the messiness of it all. Today's guest is my friend Nick, and I learned so much during our conversation. Enjoy meeting my friend Nick. Something you didn't want to or whatever, then you just let me know and I'll cut it out later.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. Awesome. Nick, welcome to Fatherhood Field Notes. How you feeling today?
Thanks, brother. Dude, so good, man. So good. I'm glad that our world's reconnected after seeing you in Texas.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool. I was sitting with you and your brother at a Rise Up Kings dinner, and we just started rapping about life. Yeah. And now we're here.
I know. I think we were talking about, I was telling you about how we went on this crazy journey of buying a library and starting a school. And you're like, wait, my kids went to a school like that.
Yeah.
And you're like,
you told me about that. And then we talked about your sauna, which I'm sure we'll get into. And then I got to try it out at Rise Up Kings headquarters.
Oh, nice.
I think it was the first time Skylar and I broke that baby in.
Yeah.
The next day. Beautiful, super, super cool.
Yeah, man, you got the first sweat.
Yeah, the first sweat. My sweat is in that one, the very first one.
That's good.
Yeah. All right, let's do this. How old do you find yourself today?
42, a young 42, feeling good.
So why young 42? What's that mean?
I don't know. I just feel like I have 3 boys that are 8 and 4. My wife's super active. We're an active family. We're always out adventuring together. So yeah. I just feel like we're playing. Like I was riding dirt bikes with my son yesterday. I'll probably do that as soon as we wrap up. Just around our property awesome. Here. I know my other son's into go-karting, and we're just out on the track together. So just, we're still having a lot of fun. Maybe more fun at 42 than I was at 12 or 22.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Why do you think you're having more fun now than then? What do you know now that you didn't know then?
Each one of my kids is into different things. And so, one's super into soccer. So I'm playing more soccer than I ever played I never really played soccer. I played, I did all kinds of other things. So I'm, out on the field with him, and we're watching soccer training videos, and I'm trying to be out there with them. And then the other one's into go-karting and dirt biking and anything with a motor. So we're doing that. And it's fun. It's like, it's guilt-free. I'm out there and, exercising and moving and trying to stay fit so I can keep up with them. I mean, I can do it now. They're only 8, but they're getting fast. They're getting bigger. So
yeah.
I just,
So one's into dirt biking and goat karting, and one's into soccer. What's the third one into?
he's young. He's only 4. So he's just doing everything. He's just, following behind everybody else.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Love it. And I love just the smile on your face, the joy talking about it, because joy is different than happiness. And I think a lot of us dads can still have this longing or this pursuit for like whatever your go-to hobby would be. But there's something different when you get to go do it with your kid.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it doesn't matter necessarily what you're even doing. You're getting to participate in something that's life-giving to them. So then it becomes life-giving to you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm definitely picking up their energy, and they want they're still at an age where they want to do stuff. They want to do everything with us. So it's I'm going to ride that as long as I can.
Well, you know what I think is, I think if you invest that time when they are 4 and 8, right? When it's you're not riding a dirt bike to the same level as if you and I went out,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But if you're putting around your track with your 8-year-old, then fast forward, like this morning, I surfed with my 14-year-olds and my 11-year-old.
That's awesome.
And 2 of them are better than I am at surfing already.
Wow. Yeah.
And I know that we'll be doing that at 20 and 25 and 30 and 35.
Yeah.
So yeah, super cool.
It is cool. Oh, just on that comment real quick. My dad, something that we did together, and it was, we would go riding together. We'd go on, maybe a couple trips a year, but it was, we'd get away for a night or two, and we'd go ride and cruise around. And so much comes from those hobbies. I mean, for us, it was learning how to change tires, learning how to work on a broken bike, getting stuck in the woods. How are we going to get out of here? All those adventures, and my dad's 72 now. He still comes riding with us.
That's epic.
Yeah, it's just we do that, and we do water skiing as a family, and both of those hobbies really bond people together.
Yeah, dude, I love it, because you said I'm a young 42. Your dad's a young 72.
Yeah,
and dude, that's 30 years from now.
I know,
for us, right? 30 years, and you're still going to be riding dirt bikes and stuff, and now it's going to be with your grandkids. And
I know.
That's why it's important to take care of yourself, so that you can be there. Nick, how many years have you been married?
My 15th anniversary is next week.
Yeah, so, dude. Nice.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Nice. And then 3 kids, 4 and 8. So you got the twins in there. So tell me, how was having twins right out the gate? I mean, you didn't know any different, but I have twins, but they're my 3rd and 4th.
Oh, okay. See, I think that'd be harder. I think later to have twins. We came right out of the gates, not knowing any better, so we just got thrown right into the fire. It's a crazy thing. It was honestly just a total miracle that they're even alive. That they spent no time in the NICU. It was the only case in medical history where my wife has like a uterus that has like a left and a right side, and so there's half the space for a baby to grow. And it just so happened that we had one baby on one side and one on the other, and it was a super high risk pregnancy, good chance to lose both of them, all this stuff.
Wow.
And just, man, God had his hand over the whole thing the whole time. And yeah, they both came out, no NICU. We went home the next day. It was just unbelievable, like flood of emotions, even just thinking about it. And yeah, it was hard. I mean, having twins is hard. You're just like, this is crazy. Learning how to nurse, and she's, nursing double trouble. But it was awesome. And, they're best friends. They're very different. So they balance each other out. And then, 4 years later, we had our other little guy. So
that's fun. Cool. So cool. Yeah, it was tough. Like today we're surfing, and I had my twins, 14 and my 11-year-old, and it's a boy and a girl, twins. And my son is just taunting the crap out of his sister, just like, and so I'm sitting there watching it. And I almost jumped in because he was like I finally did after about 10 minutes. I'm like, dude, she's over it,
Yeah.
But for the first 10 minutes, I'm just like, that's just them. Like, that's just their relationship, a connection that I don't have, that I don't understand. And so kind of like let them
they know how to process that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Until she said, and she could beat him up. She's pretty tough. But that's she awesome. Said, I'm going to beat the douche out of you. And so then I was like, all right, dude, I think she's had enough of your shenanigans.
Yeah, that's your signal to back away.
Yeah. All right. Where do you guys live? Where do you reside as a family?
So we're in Ohio, we're up in Cleveland area. So yeah, I grew up in this area. My wife's from Southern Ohio. We met in college, random group project, and
Nice.
she ended up moving to Cleveland afterwards. We dated for a while, got married, and then had kids 6 years into being married. So
Yeah. And then you live more suburbs or more country?
We're right on the edge we're like 20 minutes west of Cleveland, so it's definitely a suburb, but we have we have like 10 or 11 acres, so it feels like we're in the country, but we're close to everything.
Nice.
We got a little private, spot back here in the woods.
Love it, dude. Super cool.
Yeah.
Now I'm excited to ask you this question. So I love and hate this question because, and we can kind of talk about what we talked about before we hit record. I love and hate this question. It's about what you do for a living. Now I hate the question because most times us men, it's the first thing we ask each other to size each other up. Do I feel like a confident, strong man around you, or do I feel less than? But the reason why I ask the question is I think if I'm making $20 an hour doing whatever, or I'm making $500 an hour doing whatever, the reality is we both took twins home. Yeah. We both are going to have a son that turns 16, and we're both going to have a son that gets married, So the thing is fatherhood's a level playing field as far as the things that we're going to experience as fathers. So I like to ask the question because then people can realize like it doesn't necessarily matter how much you make or what you do. You have an opportunity to show up for your family.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, what is it that you do to provide value to the world and feed your family?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's funny. I'll answer the question. It's funny. I was with my neighbor last night who is very different than me. I would say I am a entrepreneur in my blood. I come from like a Greek family, which entrepreneurship runs pretty thick in like Greek, lineage. My dad was an entrepreneur. And so it kind of, he always was grooming me to do my own thing. And that's what I always feel like I wanted to do. And I've just really had the blessing to create businesses that came from scratching my own itch. It's like when I see something that is, I think is a problem or it could be better or different, I try to figure out, is that something that, am I the only one that has that problem? And if there's enough other people, I think, this is something we can add value to the world and create a business around it. That's how every business that I'm involved in has come from. And so right now there's 3 or 4 things that I'm involved with at various levels based on where they are in their maturity. And that's what I would say. I'm just an entrepreneurial minded person, and just doing things that I think are fun and solve problems and add value.
Love it. Love it. Well, let's just highlight a couple of those. So just go down the things. It could be like 15, 30 seconds each one, just to give people an idea of what those entrepreneur projects are. Yeah, it's cool. And none of them were planned. It was just, I studied entrepreneurship in college, but it's kind of silly. It really didn't need to go to college to do that, but I did. And that's kind of what happened is my sophomore year of college, had a chance to start an apparel company, which is called University Tees. So we're the largest provider of collegiate Greek apparel on campuses across the country. So we hire students who we call campus managers, and we train them on sales, marketing, entrepreneurship, and they spend 1, 2, 3 years with us in our program while they're on campus, and they get orders from their friends, from sorority, fraternity, student organizations, orientation, all the things that happen on the college campus to make apparel. We help them get the order, and then we produce it in our factory in Cleveland, ship it back to campus. So that's University Tees. And then we also print for a lot of brands and other people. Since we have all this equipment and all this know-how, we also print for other people. So businesses and for other people who have great brands but need production partners, we leverage our facility to print for other people, like on a wholesale basis. So that's University Tees. That was cruising along. And then the other main thing, my wife and I started, I'll go back in order. We started a sauna business 4 years ago. In Hawaii, we went to a retreat with Laird Hamilton over in Kauai. Did the whole barrel sauna, ice and hot ice and heat thing, and just loved it. My wife and I are avid, triathletes and other things that we would like to do. And it was fun. It was, we felt great. We slept great. I'm like, man, this is awesome. So we bought one for our house. The whole buying process of sauna was crazy, and it was very confusing. So we started a sauna business. Awesome. So we have this sauna business called Sisu Sauna, or the website sisulifestyle.com. So we hand make barrel saunas here in Ohio because we have Amish dudes
that are like the best craftsmen in the whole world. And our manufacturing team is like from Finland, and they have Amish craftsmen so it's a perfect blend. And then 2 years ago, we were struggling with what to do with school, and we didn't love. We had some good things happening, but we had some also stuff that just didn't feel right. Just didn't, we had like a little pit in our stomach all the time, and we're just like, man, there's got to be something different. And then we heard about Acton, and we were like, this is it. This is exactly what we want. So we were looking at what Actons existed. We were thinking about moving to a place where we could go. And then we're like, wait a second, rather than going there, why don't we just start one? Because if we can't be the only parents in Ohio or Northern Ohio that would want this for their kids. And so we took a big leap of faith. With 0 students, 0 teachers, we bought a library in town. And
so awesome.
And in 100 days, just God provided everything. And we started. And so we're in our second year now, and we're coming up on year 3, next school year. And it's crazy. We're on a wait list. Like, it's just nuts. I mean, it's
wait list for kids to join.
Yeah. Like, we have more demand than we have spots that we were planning for. So we're like, what do we do now? Do we expand faster than we planned for? Or do we, so we're wrestling with that decision.
How many kids are in
now.
the school?
I mean, it's still small. Year 1 was 20, year 2 was right now is 42. And we were going to do 62, 63 next year. But
bro, that ain't small. Like, if you're a dude listening to this right now, and you're like, what am I doing with my life? And there's some sort of itch inside you that goes, man, my kids are struggling with school, or I know a bunch of kids who are struggling with this. Mm-hmm. Like, if you heard what Nick said, we decided to do this, and then God provided a way. Like, you have the ability. And when we talk about wanting to make change in our country or change in our world, I am blown away. Like, I could cry right now. We don't invest in our kids. Like, thinking about what does our world look like 50 years from now or 100 years from now. So just go freaking do it. And when you say small, you're like, okay, 20 kids' lives that you're impacting in a massive way, and then double 40, and then potentially 60. Yeah. It's the number to me is a little irrelevant. Yeah. Because you think about 20 lives, what that means 100 years from now, 500 years from now, 20 lives has a massive impact.
Yeah. But on that note, when we were kind of like, should we do this? Should we not do this? We were leaning towards doing it. And our good friend, who's an architect who helped us with the whole thing, could not have done it without him. He helped us figure out how to turn this library into a school. And he said, it's really cool what you and Nancy are doing right now. Nancy's my wife. And he's like, you guys are making an ancestral decision right now. He goes, you guys are descendants. You guys are descendants of people before you that made some hard decisions in your lineage that you are the benefactor of. And he goes, there's not a whole lot of times in your life where you're going to have that chance to make an ancestral decision. And this is one of them. And so I would encourage you to really think about if that's important to you or not. We're like, well, how do you not? Of course we're going to do it. We're going for it. In a way, like, my faith has always been strong, but there's nothing that has strengthened it beyond the twins and the miracle I shared earlier, and how all the resources came together. It's like we could not have. I mean, people I didn't even know, contractors. Yeah, no problem. We got boom, boom, boom. The city of Bay Village, which is where we're at, they're notoriously pretty hard to work with. They were like just so graceful and let us in and do all these things, and only God could have orchestrated it.
So, yes, I 100% agree with you. Only God could orchestrate it. And on top of that formula you just said, I think people are bored out of their freaking minds looking for something to spend their time and energy and resources on that matters, right? Like, totally. There's not a lot that matters. We could be distracted by church. We could be distracted by our kids' sports. We could be distracted by things that we may or may not be like all in on. They might just be kind of like happening, right? Like, your life might be happening. So I think when you make a decision to do something significant, people's hearts and souls go, I'm in. And I think that's the thing where I can get hung up sometimes as I try to do it all on my own. So dudes, if you're going to do something, don't try to do it all on your own. Like, that doesn't matter as much as collaboration. That's where the magic happens, is in finding everybody's zone of genius and letting them shine in that area.
Yeah. I think being willing to be vulnerable too. I mean, and saying,
for sure.
And there's like imposter syndrome, we're like, we have a business entrepreneurial background. I've never thought about running a school. My wife's never thought about it. She's, MBA and brand manager. Like she's, got a background in that. And so to tell our family, like to call our mom and dad, our parents and say, we're starting a school. And they're like, what? Like, Nick, you didn't even like school. Why were you starting a school?
You're like, exactly why. I like to learn though.
Yeah, that's the point. And so there's that piece and overcoming that. But then it was interesting. You just talk about, doing it with other people. We shared it with one family, and they have quite a few kids, and they were instrumental in us getting going in year one. They have 11 kids, and
whoa.
Our pastor connected us. We didn't know these people. We're like, they're like some of our best friends now. And we're sitting across from lunch at Panera. We're telling them how we felt called to do this thing. And they're like, we want to be part of this. Like, I've never met you. Literally, this is our first time meeting, but we know, we can just sense that you guys your heart's in the right spot, and we want to be part of this. If we can send 7 kids, can you open this fall? And this was in like late June of the summer. So we were thinking about opening the following year, the school year.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, wow, and that support, that encouragement meant so much to us that we're like, yeah, you know what? Give us a day or two to think on it. But they wanted to be part of it, and they want to be, and then that gave us, and other people did the same thing. Those founding families that were a part of it were just, it's amazing, because I don't even know if I would be part of a school that I can't see or understand or anything. But these people they want to be part of something impactful. It's cool. Man.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Yeah. Okay. Any other projects? If not, I'm going to move on to a couple father questions.
Yeah. No, that's There's
more,
stuff.
But we'll leave them alone.
Iron sharpens iron. It's a men's ministry, but that's twice a year events we put on for men, 24 hours, very similar to Rise Up Kings.
Cool. Love it. All right. When did you embrace fatherhood? Right. So you're 42, you had your first child, 34 roughly. You were probably planning to have kids at that point. But at what point did you go, fatherhood really matters? Was it in the planning process? Was it when you found out your wife was pregnant? Was it when they were born? Like, at what point did you really go, dude, my role matters?
Probably thought about it, but I don't know if I felt it until we were in the hospital and they came out and it was real. And, with twins, you deliver in an OR in case things go south. And so there's like all these people. I mean, there's a ton of people, and they came out, you hear your baby crying, you're thankful they're crying. And then you're like, and she's out, she's like down for the count after this. So I am double duty backward in our own room. And I'm like, man, it hits you. Like these are, my kids to protect, and she needs me. Like, she needs me. She can't do this. Like, she's out, I gotta figure out what's going on here. That was the first diaper I ever changed, was in the hospital, nonstop awesome. Around the clock. Yeah. So I think it was really when they were like here. I mean, we thought about it a lot. I went to all the classes and stuff, but it didn't really feel real until I was holding them.
And I mean, dude, that's such a wild moment. I call it like the most beautifully barbaric thing, because our world's so like clean and cut and nice and stuff. And then you watch a couple babies be born, and it's like, damn, that's like, one, you have this new level of respect for your wife. Yeah. And then just for the miracle of life. It's like, this is
like, that's how wild. That happens? What? Yeah, where's the zipper?
Wild. Yeah. Women are incredible. They're designed so amazing.
Unbelievable.
What would you say the role of the father is? So as you step into fatherhood, this may have shifted for you some, but you're an intentional man with desire to, lead, love, and teach.
Yeah.
What would you describe the role of the father as?
I feel like a couple of things come to mind when you ask that question. I mean, I think it's to lead the family, to be the protector, generally the provider. I think also to model to my kids of what it means to have an amazing relationship with Nancy, and living that out, and to be just an example. I mean, just to be a good example in all ways, like to walk the talk that I would expect them to be. And that's so good for me too, because that's an ultimate gut check, is if I start seeing stuff show up in them, it's me, it's me downloading to them.
Yeah.
So I think those are the main things. And I think, given my, being those things so that my wife can, be who she needs to be.
Oh, okay. You said two things that really stuck out to me. The first one was you used the word model, like just said it very briefly, and then you used the word example, which we use the word example a lot, and it's a great word. But I think sometimes men will throw around the idea of example, whereas to be a model, like you want to be a model for your sons to be like you. And so that really, like you said, is that gut check to be like, am I being a model? Like, do I want them to live and operate like me? So men, are you being a model for your sons? And then, you said it about your relationship with Nancy. Are you modeling what a relationship looks like with your spouse? And then the second thing you said about being, am I being?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's such a difference. Maybe you tell me your opinion on this versus doing it like I'm acting the part, I'm playing the role versus I'm being the model, I'm being the man. So for you, what comes up when I talk about being versus doing?
Is it lip service? Is it talk? Is it real? Is it really who you are? Is it consistent? If someone saw you, like people who are chameleons to me scare me. And I try, I don't even try. I'm just not. I mean, you get what you see,
Okay. So since you do men's ministry and you help walk men through this idea of becoming, I think some of us, I mean, we're always learning and growing, right? So how do you teach men to, like, yes, you are the way you are today, but you're growing to something else, meaning you might not always feel authentic. You might sometimes feel like an imposter, but if you're open, vulnerable, honest, do you get what I'm asking?
Yeah, I think so. And I guess I'll just speak for myself. And what I would say is the best source. I mean, ours is a faith-based men's ministry. It's we've done a lot of exercises to really like slow down and try to download from God. Like what is he saying to you for you to be? What is he calling you to go and do? But who is he calling you to be? And if you can,
who is he calling you to be? That's good.
Yeah, and the more you can tap into your creator, your father, like your father, heavenly father, I think that is my best way of understanding who I should be. And when I feel like I'm in connection with that, I feel like I'm my best self.
How do you stay in connection with that? Or are there any practical practices that you do that allow you to be connected to God, your father?
Yeah. I mean, for me, like faith-wise practices, I mean, the things if I start to get out of kilt, if I start to feel like I'm off track, usually the things that are slipping are any type of prayer that's a two-way street. A lot of times my prayers can be just help me with provide and solve this problem for me, versus it being a conversation when I'm actually shutting up and listening. So that's a big one. And then two is really simple, just time in the word or some type of study where I'm actually learning and connecting with, some type of scripture. And I read a Bible that has has a chunk of verse and then like a lot of commentary, because I have no idea what is happening. So it helps me really understand what's actually happening in the context of the story. And that like seeps into me for sure.
Yeah.
And that is when I'm not doing those two things, those are probably the first two. I tend to be a little more anxious or stressed out, or I feel like I'm not my best self.
That's good. Yeah. What do you feel like you can skip this or not, and I can go. But in this season of life, what do you feel like God is communicating to you, or leading you to, calling you to, stretching you in? What do you feel like that is for you right now?
I feel like I'm maturing in what I just shared. Like I am really, I would say, like we grew up in a Christian household my whole life, but I feel like I'm stepping into a whole new understanding of what it means to be actually in a really strong relationship with God, to really understand where he wants me to be, what he wants me to go do. And I'm trying to tune into that way more than like trying to just do things on my own, understand where I should be. Like in the past, I might ask, different people or, different people who are successful and get their advice, and maybe tend to take those more as how I took action. And I'm stepping into more of like, no, like ultimately I want to honor God. So I need to be downloading from him way more and understanding and really get discernment on what he wants me to do, where he wants me to be. And if I'm doing that, I can't go wrong. And so, you know what I mean?
100%. So I kind of felt like I had this revelation as well, like about a year ago. And so dudes, I want you to hear what Nick and I are saying. About a year ago, I was like trying to make some big decisions. And so I was thinking about hiring another coach. There's a couple coaches and I have a guy I meet with now, but I was looking for a coach. And then I felt like, dude, why am I going to go to a man to answer some of these questions when I have the power of the king of the universe at my, like here.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not discrediting coaching because I think it's great. It's needed. It's important.
Yeah.
But also I can't, and I think a lot of us men, especially entrepreneurs, right, will lean on either just our, say if we have an advisor board or forum group, or we have like our dudes will call, or even I think to our downfall, sometimes we go bring too much to our wives, right? I think my wife has so much wisdom, so I run a lot of things by her, but sometimes I could dump a pressure on her that's not necessary, or have her try to make a decision for me that's not her decision to be made. Not that she doesn't have a say. This isn't some patriarchal BS. It's me stepping into my responsibility. So with that being said, go practice sitting with God for 10 minutes, for 15 minutes. And if you do that more and more and more and more, it's going to be where you are going to start working things out in your head and being able to go take action. Sometimes you'll be right, sometimes you'll be wrong, but you'll be cultivating that practice. So I've noticed a huge shift in my connectedness with God through doing that very thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's hard for men. It's hard for me. I would say it's hard for me because I am wired to go do stuff. I want to go make things happen.
For sure.
And so to go sit, in my woods with a journal or wherever, and really just take 15, 20 minutes to just like listen is not a muscle that I am great at flexing. But when I do, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, so where did this stuff come from? Where did this clarity come from? And then I want more of it. So that's the season I'm in with God.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, dude, I'm setting a timer for 8 to 12 minutes every morning, right? So you're talking 8 minutes. I recently had a gentleman on maybe a year ago, a Mormon guy, 5 kids, heavy hitter guy. He spends from 10 to 11, and who knows if it's actually every day, but still, this is his rhythm. From 10 to 11 and 1 to 2 every day with a journal and just sits.
Wow.
And then he's like, then I just make all my decisions right after. And I'm just like flowing to my team. And he was 75. Dude was 75 years old, still just crushing it. And crushing it, that's such a stupid thing. He's still providing value to the world. That's
thriving.
What's up.
You see he's thriving. Yeah.
So anyways, that time is so important. Dude, it's good.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's, it's easy to put a coffee on the book. Hey, let's meet up for this. Let's meet up for that. But, I'm learning to value that and protect it in my schedule, carve it almost like if I don't work out, I start to get, I feel, you know, like garbage, and I start to get, I'm not my best self. And I feel like I'm getting a point now where it's like, I'm the same way with that. And it's cool because that means I need it and I'm seeing the value in doing it. So I want more of it.
That's good. Back to fatherhood. What have you learned about yourself in being a father, right? So you had the baby stage, kind of coming out of the toddler stage. You got kids who are elementary age now. What's something through this last 8 years that you've learned about yourself through your fatherhood role?
Man, it's a lot. I guess my first thought when you asked it went to, I think a lot of it is doing it like with Nancy, is the role of us doing things together. And her helping me be the best father. I think there's, like you said, the women's intuition is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And, I bring a lot of like my thoughts from what I learned from my dad or what I saw. But when I get tripped up or when I feel like I'm not being my best self, I can just like spin my wheels. But if I include Nancy or ask her and just ask for her help, I feel like I'm a much better father. She can quickly point to, hey, like you're doing that thing, like just go here, do this, So I think she's one of my best guides to being the best dad. She knows me better than anybody, and she knows the boys too. So, I think she knows how to help me be the best father that I can. And so I think at first I was more just like, I got this, I can do this. And I maybe didn't include her or ask for her thoughts, as much because my ego or whatever got in the way.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I've learned is like, I can be my best by including her in the recipe.
So collaboration with your wife, so huge. I think a lot of dudes feel that their wife is critical to them, and that may or may not be true. But what would you say to a dad in stepping into even if it is critical, to not take it personal and take the feedback? Because even if it comes across as critical, whatever's her feedback to you, what would you say to a dad in how to process that?
Well, I would say it's even hard even when I ask for feedback. She tells me, like, yeah. Even if I ask, it's hard. So even if it's unsolicited, it's even harder.
Right.
But it's right. I would just, you just got to sit on it. I mean, you got to, you can't react. You got to wait and respond. You got to let that stuff simmer a little bit.
Okay. So perfect. So you said, is it right? And then wait on it, sit on it, let it simmer. And then respond, don't react. So dudes, oh my gosh, our like marriages would probably be so much easier, less conflict. If when we get the critical feedback, no matter the mode that it came in, instead of automatically taking it personal, which I could do, and then react, just go, okay. And then go ask yourself, even though if you don't want to say yes or no, ask yourself, is she right? And then if she's right, not being so prideful that you're not going to make a shift because you don't want her to be right or you don't want to feel like you lost. But this is your kids, man.
Yeah.
This is your family. Like, go make the tweak so that you can be the dad you want to be. What else? What other thoughts you have on that?
Yeah, it's have you heard about like the little formula? It's a formula I use. I usually have a wristband. I don't have it on right now, but it's E plus R equals O. Have you come across that before? Oh, it's real quick because it's a quick thing that guys might helpful, but E plus R equals O stands for event plus response equals outcome. So
Okay.
What happens? Yeah. Plus, and then how do you respond is going to dictate the outcome. So it's just a simple formula. So like you can kind of separate these steps. Whatever happened, the plus is the time in between that you need to wait a second before you respond. And then that will help dictate the outcome. So it's kind of like putting a math formula to, your wife telling you to put your phone away.
Which is helpful because then you have the thing to turn to. I mean, obviously, if you have a bracelet, it's that reminder that I don't have to take this personal. I can just take the feedback and apply it if it needs to be applied.
Yeah. The other thing learning too is with the twins, everything's been together. And we tend to do a lot as a family, like all together. And I think that is awesome. But I'm realizing like even just today, we went to my one son, Kai, he's moving up to like a different kart class. So we drove out to the kart place and we had time to chat about stuff. It was probably like 2 hours together, just one-on-one time. And that's so different. Like stuff coming out of his mouth in a one-on-one is way different than in a like that would never come up in our family of 5 is cruising around. So I realize that's important. Even now at their age they're at, and probably earlier, and I'm sure it'll continue to be even more important as they have more stuff going on in life. But that's one thing I've really learned is it's cool. It's a different connection that I have with them and the conversations when we do stuff just one-on-one. And we're doing stuff like boys. I like to, if I'm just sitting across the table with them, I feel like they're not going to say much. But when we're out like moving or we're cooking or we're like going on a bike ride or a walk or doing something together, stuff just flows more out of the boys.
Man, that's so good. I want dudes to hear this because I could be in my kitchen and my daughter, any of them for the most part, would just talk to me, just talk like more words than I could, it's like, let's land the plane here. Let's like,
Yeah.
what's the point? Let's get, but they just want to talk it out. And I got to remind myself, and dads too with daughters, is they want you, like in that moment where you want it to be over, they want you to know, like whatever it is they're sharing, it doesn't matter if you think it's important. They want you to know. Like, that's pretty awesome. But
really
with
cool.
my son, the best conversations have been when we're on a hike or we're out surfing or we're doing something together. Like he doesn't want to sit on the couch and unbare his soul to me. But the random thing is if we're doing something, then the moment has been opened for him to say something or share something. So I think that's really incredible for us to know as fathers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Seth Godin, and he mentioned that, like, that's why he cooks dinner every night, is because when he's in the kitchen and cooking, it's kind of casual and people are in motion and moving. And that's when the conversation actually happens. And so, it's cool.
It's good. Now, you mentioned your dad, and it sounds like you had a great dad. You mentioned him a couple of times. Tell me about your dad. What's something that was that you took from your father that was incredible? And then what's something, if there is anything, that you wish he would have done differently?
Oh, man. I mean, my dad has been, one of my best friends forever. We just have done all kinds of cool stuff along the way. Played a lot of golf together growing up. So there was a lot of time together on those biking trips I mentioned. Coached, he coached different sports. So that was always a different role that I got to see him lead in on the field. Like he wasn't, not that it's bad to be like the dad on the bleachers, but that was just not him. He's like, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to be all in. Like, I'm going to be here leading. So I've tended taken on similar thoughts. It's like, if we're going to send our kids to school, I might as well run the school, kind of stuff. But really cool. Just one little story I want to share. He had an insurance business for many years. And when I graduated college and I was like 22, I was, at that point, I was the only one in the business, and I was working like from home. And this is just post college. We were just around a ton of people. And I was like, this sucks. I don't like this at all. And so I asked my dad if I could just like come work from their office just so I can be around people. And he's like, sure, I have extra, cubes and desks, just wherever you want. Obviously the price was right too, but what it did was it got me to his office, and then it led to, like, from age 22 to like, 28 when we were there, so much interaction of going through stuff, business stuff, personal stuff. And we could go grab lunch. We would go, just to different, hear different speakers together, but it really bonded us. And I was with, at home, obviously from like 0 till 18. And then there's a gap where I'm away at college, and then came home and worked there together. Basically went to work, but working in different businesses for many years.
That's awesome.
And that was super cool. If I ran into an issue, go to, hey, what's going on here? What do you think? And he would just give me, his thoughts or share his experience, and then it would help me make good decisions, which was unplanned, but it was just such a blessing when I look back on that. So his willingness to just be there and have time, and he had enough margin, or just included me in what he was doing. And I was always a fly on the wall for his Bible studies or the things he was going to. I was able to kind of see, or I'd see him lead company meetings. I had no employees at that point, no team members. So I'd see him and I'd be like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's how you run a 50-person meeting or whatever. Or that's how you interview somebody, or that's how you fire a sales guy who is, being goofy, just all those things were just, I was like, just watching and seeing. And then I'd go talk to him afterwards, and it was just like the ultimate learning. I think I learned more through that than I did in college.
Wow. Two things I heard is, I'm just writing this one down. Dads, are you letting your kids see your life? Right? Like your dad was a model without trying to like schedule being a model. He just was a model.
Here I am. Yeah. Come on in.
Yeah. He lived his life and he let you see it. I'm blown away when I ask a 15-year-old, hey, what does your dad do? And they're like, oh, I don't really know.
Yeah.
I think that's a missed opportunity for you to let your kids see your life. And then the other thing I heard you say, which I think it just penetrates my heart, because my life can be so full, is do you have margin? Do you have margin for your kids? And then you said a 50-person company, like that's a big company, right? That's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of time and energy goes into that. So to create margin, for you, that season, all us dads can ask at any season of life, are we creating margin for for our children.
Yeah. On that point, I don't know if he was intentional about this, but like if I ever needed something, everything got delayed. Like it was, if I went into his office or whatever, like it, it didn't matter what he was working on at that point. It just kind of was like, he didn't like look at his laptop and kind of like look at me on the side of the eye. It was like, hey, we're going to go sit over here so we can just chat. It was nothing else was more important. But, it never felt like I needed to work to get his attention.
Yeah.
Maybe as a kid, maybe I felt that way. Like I was pumped when dad got home, but like as an adult or as I got older and really understood, it was just like, the faucet was always on whenever I wanted it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now you can skip or you can answer. Is there anything you wish he did differently as you're growing up?
No, not that I can really, nothing I can really think of. I don't have like a great answer for that.
Yeah, no, good. And I think it's important. Just dads, like this always matters. So, what do you want your kid's answer to be when he's 42 or she's 42?
Yeah.
This podcast is called Fatherhood Field Notes. We've been doing it. You're just opening up your life, opening up your field notes to us, sharing. The mantra behind it is rebel and create. You could be rebelling against having the phone at the table, so you could create family connection, or you could be rebelling against, something on a larger scale. But when you hear those words, what are you rebelling against, and what do you hope to create out of that?
I think rebelling, the first thing that came to mind was rebelling against what I think is what people typically think of being like a father, maybe more as like a duty. I don't know. Just like, these are the things I got to do now, and just a general sense of almost like complaining about the things versus just what an amazing gift and how fun can this be, to do life and have these kids and to have this opportunity. We get to do this thing. So just maybe the mindset that like kids are a lot of work and they're busy and I got to drive here and go there. It's like, no, man, you get to do those things. So I'm rebelling against that mindset.
Yeah. I almost think, do we look at our work as what we love, our identity's more there. So then we're fitting our kids in, which I think sometimes my calendar, it could feel that way. Or am I looking at my kids' family priority and then I'm fitting my work in? So my work to some level is more like the duty than my kids is the duty. I mean, hopefully you can make both of them, beautiful things that you enjoy, but still, I like that a lot. Is it's not a duty, it's a get to. And how you made a comment, how fun this can be, because it can be so fun if you let it be.
Yeah. It's just a perspective. You go to soccer practice for an hour and a half. It's like, well, all right, this is awesome. Like, how can this be a great thing versus I got to go and drop them off or sit there. It's how you approach it mentally and how you think about it. I think just greatly impacts your feeling about it. And then how my son and I interact around it.
Yeah.
So,
question that I'm starting to ask, and it's a little strange, but it kind of time travels you forward about 20 years or so, 25 years, 30 years. What kind of grandfather do you want to be?
I want, Nancy, it's funny you asked. Nancy and I talk about this a decent amount. But I think so high on our list is that we want to be like in their lives, not, we go do our own thing and we see you occasionally. We want to be, our ideal thing is to build a cabin, like right back in the woods I'm looking at, and to be so integral where we're just a part of their lives. So a grandpa that's like helping or just up in there with them, helping them with things and being a part of it, where it's, I think in other cultures where it's way more normal for the older people to be part of the house and be part of the family. That's what we want. We do not want to be just like, go out, do your own thing. And maybe we come together for like, very occasional. We want to be just doing life with our continue our kids and whoever they, hopefully they're blessed with amazing wives like I was, have great relationships with them. And eventually, when they have kids, like just be part of their life too. in a different way, but just be part of it is the short, and be part of their activities, be part of their life, be able to still teach them, take them on things, be a helpful person to, them when they're in a different stage of life and they're working away, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think being a part of it is the key. And then the other component, which is cool that you kind of laughed and are like, Nancy and I talk about this, is we're having these conversations with our kids now. Two components, right? Is like, we want to be a part of your lives one day, not control, not be the parents that are annoying. Like I even my kids' ages now, I tell them, hey, is there anything I do that bothers you? I want to cultivate a relationship where you feel comfortable to set a boundary or to say this bothers me or whatever. Cause I don't want to be, 65 coming to your house and it's like your kids are annoyed or you're annoyed because I show up in a way that's not suitable or lead to life. So, I mean, and there's things that my 15-year-old and 18-year-old have shared that I've had to make adjustments on because I want them to be able to speak to me and then me be able to adjust and not get defensive. So that's one component. Another component is this idea that, in our culture, people move all over the place and they're very disconnected from their family. Mm-hmm. And I want to start to have these conversations where it's not the expectation that we all have to live in the same town, but it's a desire, like we want to be together.
Yeah.
And then I'm really talking to my kids too about, hey, you're going to be best friends with people the rest of your life. You're going to have friends you do life with. Why wouldn't that be your sibling? So can you cultivate relationship? Because like my dad, I mean, he had 7, there were 7 in his family and they pretty much all lived in a different state, and they would talk but to do life together, be a part of. Yeah. And I just see such a value in that opportunity, but I think us dads need to plant that seed.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that desire. Like they want that. That's what they want it to be the case. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like as an entrepreneur, mindset, critical thinker is, I think people get stuck in a job like, oh, well, sorry, we can't, we have this job here in, Hawaii or Ohio or whatever. But the reality is like, you could go work anywhere. You could go do anything. So is it possible for you to live a life or choose to design your life where you get to do life and be a part of each other? Yeah. Like where your kids get to grow up together and it's not just a once a year they see each other or something. And it's not always possible. And we don't want to create like a shame expectation, but I think figuring out what that means for your family is important to start to talk about when they're young.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I mean, I know in no time at all, they're going to be grown and ready to go move on to new things. So, my wife having 3, with having 3 boys, like having a great relationship with the women that they marry, that's a key thing. So, that's probably so we'll just make sure we make really good food for them.
Yeah. One thing that my friend Michael said, who has 7 boys, I did a podcast with him recently. He just had this great thing that he talks about is that he doesn't think it's so much his kid, like his sons, yes, go ask the woman's father if they can, if he can ask to marry him. But first he needs to come to him. Right. Like, so my son needs to come to me and say, Dad, am I ready to get married? And he said, there's 3 things I want you that I'm going to be looking for. 1, are you a boundary setter? 2, are you a spiritual leader? And 3, are you a provider? And I'm not going to give you my blessing to go get married to some woman unless you can do those 3 things. Wow. It's like, okay, that's a role for me, right? You got 3 sons. You got to go prepare them for that, or you get to go prepare them for that. All right, Nick, before I ask my last question, any last thoughts, anything you would share with a father that you'd want him to hear, know, or story or anything before I ask my last question?
You're going to make a lot of mistakes and that's okay. Like that's how we all learn is by goofing up, and getting better. That's just the way that it happens. And what I have found is that the more, like, I'm getting better at being more vulnerable and being more transparent and just being real, like about, and it's funny because when I'll talk to a dad, like last night I was talking to my neighbor, if I get just even below the surface just a little bit, like our relationship changes. And it's this like one click down from the normal surface level stuff you talk about. And that's when really like some of the greatest relationships that I have with other dads is just being real and not just talking about the normal surface level stuff. So just, it's weird, it's awkward, but it's really good to just go one level below. Like, it's like, I just came back from Hawaii, and you stand like looking at the ocean, you don't see anything. And then you like literally put goggles on and go an inch down. You're like, all this is down here? You kidding me? What? So that's my constant reminder is like, just go a little deeper, be that's a little more open, because it bonds people in a different way. That's when people know you're real.
Yeah, look for those opportunities or make those opportunities. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, my friend, my last question, legacy question. So now fast forward, 30 years, you're standing in a cul-de-sac, peering into your son's homes. What is it that you see being played out in those homes that puts a smile on your face, a tear in your eye, and you just go, man, I showed up. I gave it my all, and I am proud of what I'm seeing inside these homes.
Oh. I think the first thing that came to mind was I see love. That's what I just see it. You can feel it. You see a house that's full of love, that people love each other, they're encouraging each other, and that it kind of oozes out of them. It's like that, just you interact with that family and you feel loved, and you know that they are loving each other and those that they impact.
And if you were to give a brief description of what love is, what would you say it is?
All the things, I think it's
the hardest question ever.
No,
You're
just I would say first thought was forgiveness, unconditional forgiveness and love. And just a feeling that when you're there with somebody, like they got you, you're in their arms. Yeah. They care for you. They're genuine. That they have your back, and it's mutual, and you can just be who you are. You don't have to put on a mask or some facade. Yeah. They just come as you are. They're just a feeling of, man, something's different here. There's an aura about this place and these people that I just want to be part of. Like, and it draws people to it because they're like, that's different. How does that family operate like that? Like, that would be amazing to look back at that and know that, our boys created a culture like that.
Beautiful. Nick, thank you so much for the man you are, for the husband you pursue to be, for the way you're loving your boys, for the way you lead your companies and look at the world with eyes of how can I solve a problem and make things better and provide value. And then not just doing it, behind closed doors, that you share that with other men. You have a desire to call them into their opportunity as men created by the King of the universe. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep being a blessing to the world. And I look forward to staying connected to you and just watching your journey. And before we say bye, where can people learn more about Acton, the saunas, and then also University Teas? Yeah.
Thank you, Ned. Thank you for hosting and what you're doing. I'm grateful to have met you in the last couple months, and I've trying to go back through some of these episodes and just learn, because there's so much greatness in the way that you organize this podcast and the guests you've had on. So thank you for
appreciate it,
doing what you're doing. You certainly don't need to do it, but I appreciate you putting that out in the world too. Are you going to do show notes or anything like that where people can get stuff on the website?
Yeah, we'll put all the links in there. Put your bio in there.
Yeah, I would just say that rather than rattle off a bunch of URLs. So
perfect.
All right, cool.
Okay, man. Thank you. Until next time.
All right, thanks, brother. See you.
What a great conversation. I loved getting to know Nick more. I love the continued conversation about doing life together, right? And not just in this current season, which, sometimes we can get so just tunnel vision as with everything that's going on right now in our lives. Whether you got a 2-year-old or 12-year-old or 20-year-old, there's just life can be so full, and we can see this moment only. So to take a step back, and I asked a question about grandfather, and it sparked a conversation around seeing beyond this season. And I think it's important for you and I to step back and see just beyond the season so that we can prepare for future Ned, for future you. We can think about that guy and go, what am I doing today to set that future version of me up for success? Dudes, if you enjoy the podcast, take 30 seconds and write a review, please. It helps spread the word that fatherhood matters. And then if you know a dad who's doing a great job, send him a text. Dude, you're crushing it. I just want you to know that I see that. A lot of dads don't get that pat on the back for being a father, and it means a lot when we do. And then shoot them a link to this episode and say, hey, dude, I think you might enjoy checking out some of these podcasts. I want to say thank you to all you dads out there who listen to Fatherhood Field Notes podcast, and even more than that, that are waking up every day to love and serve your family. Honorable and difficult, but possible. And you have what it takes, my friend. Don't be like everybody else. Be yourself. That is your greatest gift to your family, to the world. And that's who your kids, your spouse, and your community needs is you. I'm your guide, Ned Shout. Together, let's continue to rebel against the view that fatherhood has little impact and create lives engaged in mastering the craft of fatherhood. I look forward to hanging out with you next time.